We are back with another mock draft to get you ready for your fantasy football draft. And let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. All right. So, this is the mock draft wizard at Fantasy Pros. And this is a really cool tool. If you've never used it before, we're going to be showing you today. You can customize this however you want. You can even do a dynasty draft, startup mock draft. And we'll be doing some of those for the Dynasty Roundtable channel, which you should go follow and subscribe to if you like Dynasty. You can pick your draft position. I'm going to randomize that in a bit, but we're going to do 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, 3 flexes for 10 total starting spots and 6 bench spots. We're going to be drafting against the Fantasy Pros experts. I'm going to use the Yahoo pre-draft rankings because for a lot of my redraft leagues are in Yahoo. I know that might be weird to some people. I don't know. Let me know if you use Yahoo. I think it's one of the more underrated platforms. Now let's randomize my pick. And looks like I don't think I've drafted out of the 9th spot. So I think I'm going to stick with that. And yeah, let's go ahead and get this bad boy started. As the draft is loading, let's pull up the draft board and let's back off a little bit so we can see. All right. So Jamar Chase comes off the board as the first pick here. Then Bijan, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Devon Achane going at the 105. Holy wow. Ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs, ahead of Saquon, ahead of Malik Neighbors. Wow. Okay. That I do not think that that's going to happen, but I guess somebody in this one of these auto drafters really likes Devon Achane. Sorry, I'll get over that in a minute. So I think to me, it's pretty clear that either Puka Nacua, Nico Collins, or Brian Thomas Jr. would be my pick here. And I think we're going to go with Puka, start off with a wide receiver in a PPR league, and we're going to hope. And yes, one of the running backs did come back to us that we were hoping for. I mean, starting Christian McCaffrey and Puka Nacua, getting Christian McCaffrey in round 2. I know that there are significant injury concerns, but the upside with Christian McCaffrey in round 2, as opposed to taking him in the first half of round 1, potentially you're getting 2 first-round picks. I mean, and not just 2 first-round picks. You're getting a really good first-round pick in Puka, and Christian McCaffrey can always finish as the RB1. So I know it's risky, and you let me know in the chat or in the comments if you think this is a good idea or not, but I am absolutely in on Christian McCaffrey. I'm gonna have some Christian McCaffrey definitely in my seasonal redraft leagues. So we're gonna go with Christian McCaffrey in a PPR league, and this could be a league-winning start. So I had to move my screen over to the other side so you guys could actually see the draft board as we get into this. And so we go Puka, Christian McCaffrey, and we see the elite tight ends come off the board, but there's still a tight end that I really, really like. And in this range of the draft, I'm going to scroll down. There are players that I like. And while I do like to wait on tight end, I just think that George Kittle is the play here. I mean, George Kittle and having some double exposure to that San Francisco offense, I don't have any problem with that because I think that offense is going to be good. If you look at the past with Kyle Shanahan as the play caller there, I don't think that I think that there's a lot of upside with that offense, and potentially we could get a Brock Purdy later and just go full San Francisco. I don't mind doing that at all. And, Mike Evans would be a nice pick. There's a lot of nice picks here. Breece Hall. I think one of those guys is going to come back to us that we really like, and I kind of have them all in the same bucket. The guy that really stands out to me is George Kittle. So we're going to do that. We're just going to pull the trigger on Kittle. Rashi Rice in round 3 is interesting. I don't know if I could do that, and I'm one of the bigger Rashi Rice fans. I think round 4, round 5, I would absolutely be smashing Rashi Rice. So Marvin Harrison, Breece Hall, Mike Evans, Jalen Hurts, Alvin Kamara all come off the board. And I know we said we would wait on quarterback, but I mean, Jaden Daniels is the last of the, well, unless you throw Joe Burrow in there, the last of these elite type quarterbacks. So that is really, really tempting. And we could stack them maybe potentially with Deebo Samuel if we wanted to go that route. Although stacking isn't absolutely vital in a 12 team where you're just trying to finish in the top 6. So, gosh, DK Metcalf, Sutton. I'm not in love with any of these guys really. Chris Godwin was put on the pup. Man, I think the pick that just stands out to me, I know Kenneth Walker's there. I like Kenneth Walker quite a bit. But I think giving ourselves the advantage at quarterback with Jaden Daniels and that upside, we're probably not going to get Brock Purdy now, but I'm just going to do it. We have elite tight end. We have elite quarterback. And we have some work to do at wide receiver. I feel confident that we can fill some of those wide receiver spots. So we start Puka, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Jaden Daniels. And Joe Burrow is still on the board. That is fascinating to me. But obviously we don't need a quarterback. Jalen Waddle, Travis Hunter, Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy, George Pickens, all stand out. Trevion Henderson, I like quite a bit. I think that there's probably a good chance that he falls back down to us. And the guy that I want, and you guys let me know if this is a terrible idea, but I think that there's a really good chance that Jalen Waddle is really good this year. I know he's disappointed us in the past, but to me, that's the guy that I'm targeting. And I'm really hoping that one of these running backs, especially one potential rookie running back, falls to me in round 6. So we're gonna take Jalen Waddle and we're gonna cross our fingers. And yes, we did it. It happened. Trevion Henderson, I think, has league winning upside this year based on the situation he's in. And I've thought about this, and there's a video that will have already been published on this channel about breakout running backs to target, because the breakout guys, the guys that are being drafted in the middle rounds, the late rounds, the rookies, the year 2, the year 3 guys, they are the cheat codes in fantasy football. And I think Trevion Henderson can finish as a top 12 running back this season. And I get it. The concerns are the injuries. Can he stay healthy? I really do think Ramondre Stevenson is going to help with that. Ramondre Stevenson, 5'11", 230-ish pounds, really projects more as an in-between the tackles grinder. Really, it's very similar to what the Lions have in Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. I think Trevion Henderson is going to be able to make the most out of the touches that he does get, and getting, 12 to 15 touches a game, a lot of that in the receiving game, as opposed to 20 to 25 touches a game, is going to increase the chances that he stays healthy. So we're going to go with Trevion Henderson, and especially in a PPR league where he's going to catch passes, and feel pretty good about that. So this is a perfectly symmetrical start. We have 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs. We already have our quarterback. We already have our tight end. So, gosh, this would be really risky, but Caleb Johnson is another one of those running backs I think could just break out in a major way. But in a redraft league, that might make us too dependent on rookies. And I don't know, it's just a lot of risk. We know what Isaiah Pacheco's role is going to be. He's going to be the starting running back in Kansas City. Khalil Shakir, I think, has a chance to break out. Josh Downs, I like a little bit. Quinshon Judkins, we could take the discount on, wide receiver, but we don't want to be light at wide receiver. But man, Emeka Egbuka is just a tremendous value based on this ADP, in my opinion. I think we are going to go Caleb Johnson, just F it and go with the volume. I mean, Najee Harris had well over 200 carries, 48 targets last year in that offense. Jaylen Warren's never carried the ball more than 150 times in a season. Caleb Johnson's going to get a ton of volume. I know the offensive line's bad. The offense could potentially be bad. But Caleb Johnson, I think, is that guy. So we're going to, again, take another one of my potential breakout running backs who I think is going to catch more passes than we might think. So we do have to get busy at wide receiver at some point. So we're going to fill one of those players, or we're filling our flex spot rather with a running back, or the first flex spot. And as I'm scrolling here, this is the problem, for me with going running back early is, playing catch up at wide receiver is never fun, especially in a PPR league. There is a wide receiver that I do like quite a bit. Josh Downs would be the guy at the top of my board. I do like Darnell Mooney. I do think that there's a chance he makes it back to us. We'll see. Emeka Egbuka, man, we would be really dependent on rookies, and the target share there is just super, super. There's not much room in the offense for him. So we are probably going to have to take some chances on some of these wide receivers because a little bit later on, because I feel like we've the well is drying up. So for that reason, I'm going to take Josh Downs. I mean, Josh Downs' reception perception data is off the charts. And this is interesting. Only one other wide receiver came off the board. We have some quarterbacks, some tight ends, really good values on tight ends. Really, I'm kind of, in a way, regretting my George Kittle pick. I'm trying to even think what we might have done there. Maybe Mike Evans, maybe Kenneth Walker. Tedero McMillan might have been nice. But in round 3, maybe a little bit rich there. I still really like our team. We have 3 wide receivers I feel good about. We just, as my voice cracks, I guess I'm still going through puberty. I don't know. I think we probably look to wide receiver again. I don't necessarily love these running backs. Charbonnet is interesting as a handcuff, but this feels a little bit too soon for him. I do like Tajay Spears. He's another one of my breakout running backs. I think he's better than Tony Pollard. I will be having next to no Tony Pollard this year. In fact, I know in my seasonal redraft leagues, I'm going to have no Tony Pollard, even though, the volume is going to be, I mean, who knows? I think Tajay Spears should get the volume, although there are injury concerns. But Tajay Spears efficiency wise is just so much better. I think Darnell Mooney's interesting. I think Darnell Mooney is the guy that I'm looking at. Matthew Golden could be interesting as well if he's the guy. I mean, that's just the thing with Matthew Golden. Is he going to be the legit number 1 wide receiver? I can never remember Matt LaFleur. I can never remember Matt LaFleur's name for some reason. Is Matt LaFleur going to use him as a true number 1 wide receiver? Is he going to spread the ball around? I think his past would suggest that he's going to spread the ball around. I mean, outside of having Devontae Adams for a little bit, at least I think so. I think he had Devontae Adams for a little bit. Just going off the top of my head. If you look at what the Packers did last season, they definitely spread the ball around, and their usage of Jaden Reed was very bizarre. So I think maybe we can wait on him just based on ADP potentially, but I think I'm going to go Mooney, and then I think we're going to hope, or we're going to cross our fingers potentially and hope that we're going to hope that we're going to get Matthew Golden. Yes, and I suppose Charbonnet's tempting, but I just think that there's a lot of upside with Golden here in that offense. And Emeka Egbuka I like as a player. over Matthew Golden, but the situation is just it's super clogged up, and I think Matthew Golden could deliver some really good weeks for us right off the bat, and I think he slots in nicely to our team here. So yeah, we're gonna go with Matthew Golden and just continue to pound wide receiver. And so we have Keon Coleman, Jaden Higgins might have also been nice as well. Trey Harris. So all those rookies. Emeka Egbuka in the 11th is a really good value. And then Luther Burden comes off the board right before we might have been able to take him. There's another rookie wide receiver I'm looking at. Another guy who I think is going to get peppered with targets, and I'm going to have in a lot of PPR leagues, especially. Gosh, quarterbacks are just not going at all in these mock draft simulators that they have. It seems like you can wait on quarterback, but I don't know if that'll necessarily happen in your actual redraft league. So Ray Davis and Trey Benson are the two guys. Maybe I think now's the time we get a couple of handcuff running backs, although there are some wide receivers that I like. I like Jalen Coker. I like Kyle Williams. Wan'Dale Robinson's the guy I was alluding to earlier. You know, I think I'm going to go with Trey Benson over Ray Davis, and I'll tell you why. Is because while there's some weirdness going on, and I think another handcuff that I want all over the place, especially if you have McCaffrey, which we do have McCaffrey, we're going to take Isaac Guerendo as well and just bank that 49ers running back situation. I'm normally not a huge handcuff guy, handcuffing your own players, but in the case of McCaffrey, I think it's warranted. So we got a couple nice handcuff running backs there. And guess what? We got some wide receivers falling to us as well. But let's get back to Trey Benson for a second, because Trey Benson, I think, is going to have built-in usage, because I think the Cardinals realize that they're going to need to keep James Conner healthy. And the only way to keep James Conner healthy is to get Trey Benson more involved. I think year two, I don't really know what happened in year one. I think he had an injury towards the end of the season, but I don't know if they just didn't trust him. Obviously, he was a rookie, so there's that. But based on his profile, his size, his speed, his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield, I think that they're going to find ways to use him, if for no other reason than to keep James Conner healthy, because James Conner is a big part of their offense. So I think he's got a built-in role, and if anything happens to James Conner, I think it'll be wheels up for Trey Benson, and he'll be definitely a flex start every single week, and you could put him into one of your RB spots as well. I think we ended up making a good decision by taking some of those handcuff running backs, because more running backs came off the board, and there are two wide receivers that I thought about taking back at the pick where we took Benson and Guerendo, and there's more handcuff running backs that I want, but unfortunately we only have a few picks. And in a PPR league, Kyle Williams has the upside, but I think Wan'Dale Robinson has the role already, and he ranked number 10 in targets last year, and he's probably not going to get many deep targets, but in PPR leagues, maybe the ceiling isn't there, but he has a floor that we can use on a weekly basis as a bye week fill-in. So we're going to go with Wan'Dale Robinson, and Marshawn Lloyd does come off the board. That was a guy we were looking at for sure. Jalen Coker is there. I do like Jalen Coker quite a bit. Kyle Williams is still there. We could shoot for some upside with Kyle Williams. It's a prospect I like quite a bit. The quarterbacks are all still there, and they're draft assistant, or whatever you want to call it, is just begging me to take one of these quarterbacks. But you know what? If the room is going this way, I would probably still push that backup quarterback position. We do have 5 running backs. We have 6, if I can count wide receivers. Demario Douglas is interesting too. I think we already have some handcuffs that I like quite a bit. Blake Corum would be interesting here. I think we are going to go with Blake Corum because if anything happens to Kyron, I think Blake Corum's going to be the guy. I know some people might not like that. They might think Jarquez Hunter has more juice, but if you think about Kyron Williams, he doesn't have much juice. He runs between the tackles and, he just gets that volume. And if something happens to him, I would think that Blake Corum, based on the fact where they drafted him last year, he would be the guy. And this is the draft where we just have a bunch of guys falling to us that we really like. So I want to take Jalen Coker here, but and Kyle Williams is still on the board. Maybe we take the upside with Kyle Williams, and we hope that Coker falls to us. It looks like we still have Jalen Coker available to us. Jalen Knoll are all guys that we like. DJ Giddens would be an interesting guy to take as well if we had more rounds to go. I think potentially he might be able to get back to us maybe. But I think we're going to take Coker. Feel pretty good about that. And we'll see. Oh, man, we couldn't quite beat the grade from last time. So we get a B+. Let's go ahead and look at – or first, let's review the team. We took Jaden Daniels in round 4, Christian McCaffrey, Travion Henderson, Puka Nacua, Jalen Waddle, Josh Downs, George Kittle, Caleb Johnson, Darnell Mooney, Matthew Golden. And then we also have Trey Benson, Isaac Guerendo, Wan'Dale Robinson, Blake Corum, Kyle Williams, and Jalen Coker. Let's view the full analysis to see what insights we have here. And looks like 4th again. So I think we got 4th last time. And overall 4th, the starters are mid, according to them. Bench, number 1 overall. How about that? We have a good bench, so on those bye weeks, could be really good. Tight end, strong. Quarterback, strong. Let's figure out what experts really liked our draft. So Seth Miller, loved it. Justin Weigel, I'm probably saying that wrong. Dave Kluge, liked it. Jeff Bogus, though, hated it. And Scott Pianowski, C-. So very, very boom or bust draft, I feel like, with Christian McCaffrey thrown in there. Travion Henderson could be really, really good. And let's just see if there's anything else here. Team strengths, all this kind of cool stuff. So let me know what you think of this draft. Again, we'll go to the draft board, review it one more time. So in round 1, we took Puka Nacua, then Christian McCaffrey, then George Kittle, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Waddle, Travion Henderson, Caleb Johnson, Josh Downs, Darnell Mooney, Matthew Golden, Trey Benson, Isaac Guerendo, Wan'Dale Robinson, Blake Corum, Kyle Williams, and then we rounded it out with Jalen Coker. Let me know what you think. Drop your comments below. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. And until next time, be good, everybody, and we will see you later.